Training camp day 2 is in the books, and the Chicago Bulls have already waived a player. Plus, Jalen Smith is making his claim to be the starting center. We're going to get into all and more. First, we got to play that intro.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every single social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today. And we got day 2 of training camp is in the books for the Chicago Bulls, and the Bulls have already started trimming down their roster after seeing him for 2 days. Marcus Domask has been waived by the Chicago Bulls. That is what we're starting off with. We got some crazy other details as well. Io DeSumo calls Modest Buzelis the most athletic Bull, even more athletic than Zach LaVine. And Jalen Smith talks about exactly what he's going to bring, and he's going to bring everything the Bulls could possibly need from a starting caliber center. But first, we're going to get the trash out the way. The Chicago Bulls took out the trash today when they waived Marcus Domask from the roster. Now, this is not a surprise at all when you look at how he played in summer league. Maybe the Bulls were hoping that was just a fluke. He was going to come into training camp and show something to make this. Keep in mind, the Bulls don't have to cut anybody yet. They could have very well said, hey, let's see what he's going to bring in a live game. Let's see what he's going to bring with another week of practice. Let's see what he's going to. He couldn't make it through 2 days. 2 days. Now, Domask is a very decorated collegiate player. I want to be clear there. I do not want to disrespect what he was able to do at the collegiate level. But what we've seen before, that don't matter when it comes down to it. Domask has been waived. He could still end up on the Windy City Bulls. I want to be clear there. He could wind up there on a just a G League contract if the Bulls still want to see maybe if anything can be extracted from the talent there. But he's been waived by the Chicago Bulls. Forward Marcus Domask is no longer on the training camp roster. He up out of there. He up out of there. He gone. He up out of there. He gone. So and that's what it comes down to. They probably recognized very early into this that, he ain't got it. He ain't got it. He's not one of them ones. He's not one of them fives. He's not one of them nothing. He ain't one of them anything. Get this motherfucker up out of here. And you know what? I mean, listen, when it comes down to it, I don't think too many people were kind of hopeful or thought that Marcus Domask was really going to do anything other than make the G League team, maybe at best there. And you know that just is what it is when it comes down to it. Like you got him up out of there. He didn't show us anything when it came down to it. And yeah, 2 days of practice, you're gone. So we're gonna move right along, just like the Bulls moved on from Marcus Domask, and talk about some of the things that have come out of here so far through training camp in day 2. And we got actually a lot of details, mainly in regards to Jalen Smith. And I listen, this is not what I'm about to say in regards to positive things about Jalen Smith. Please do not in any way take that as me meaning it's necessarily a slight to Nikola Vucevic. I'm just talking positive about Jalen Smith. Jalen Smith talked about it today. He said that his emphasis is on running the floor hard, defensive versatility, professionalism in any role that he's asked to do, and getting out in transition. And we've talked about this, right? One of the things with the Bulls' new play style in moving faster, getting out in transition, catching lobs potentially from Kobe, Zach, or Josh Giddey, because either one of those guys could be able to start the break. You want somebody who can finish around the rim. You want somebody who can protect the rim to help get you out in situations to be able to create opportunities out on the fast break. Jalen Smith, just off his skill set, makes more sense in this current starting lineup than Nikola Vucevic. It does not mean that that's the direction the Bulls are going to go. I want to make sure of that. It does not mean that. But Jalen Smith also talked about why he came to the Chicago Bulls, and he actually said why he came to the Bulls is opportunity. Now, we have heard throughout the offseason that Jalen Smith was promised an opportunity to earn the starting center role. Now, we don't know. We haven't heard anything. We haven't seen anything to say that yet from what we've been told by this front office, by this coaching staff. But Jalen Smith's potential there offers a little bit more. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen. But at the end of the day, we'll see what happens when that comes down to it. But it seems like Jalen Smith is bringing a lot of things that right now that they want. So we'll see what happens with that. Jalen Smith as well. Seeing him without the goggles is a little weird to me because he doesn't look as much of a SpongeBob character without the glasses. So it's like nothing. I'm gonna shut the fuck up. So hearing that from Jalen Smith, as well as he's been there, he's been athletic, he's been practicing, he's been taken into the system really well. And so far, it seems like he's building some nice chemistry with Zach LaVine as well in some fast break opportunities that they've had so far in training camp. They're not running true 5-on-5s yet, so I wouldn't take that with too much of a big concern there. But at least through what we've seen and heard so far through training camp, seems like Jalen Smith is coming in ready. He's ready to go, and he's going to be trying to push for minutes for this team. Starting position or not, Jalen Smith is trying to get a lot of minutes. Keep in mind, this is a guy who throughout his NBA career has not played a whole lot of minutes. He just hasn't. Outside of when he was initially traded to the Indiana Pacers, where he averaged 24 minutes a game in that after initially being traded to the Pacers, this is a guy who hasn't really cracked 18 minutes per game on average throughout his NBA career. So, I'm sure getting some more of that opportunity is going to be huge for him. He's averaged 16 and a half minutes for his career over 207 games. That's not a lot. Listen, that's not a lot more than Dalen Terry got last season. So, and we know how much potential is still left in Dalen Terry. And Julian Phillips has shown a lot more than that. So we'll see. Him coming here for the opportunity, though, I think is really big. I think that that's huge, that he specifically, when asked, talked about, that was the first thing out of his mouth. I came here for the opportunity, right? And to me, that says that, hey, you'll never know what happens when it comes down to it. And hopefully Jalen Smith continues to just excel at what he's going to do. Jalen is going to have a very simplified role here for the Chicago Bulls, but an important one. Whether he's starting or coming off the bench, Jalen Smith's role is going to be to run the floor. His role is going to be to get out in transition. His role is going to be to finish off pick and rolls and give lob opportunities to these point guards that we have here. Io, Josh Giddey, both these guys can find a guy like Jalen Smith on the fast break. So, being a more athletic and more kind of modern skill set type to centers, right? Because he doesn't have the modern size. He's only 6'9", right? So that plays a part into it. But he does have the wingspan that AK loves and things like that. So we'll end up seeing what happens when it comes down to it. But I like a lot of right now what Jalen Smith potentially brings to the team. And it seems like the coaching staff is liking a lot of it as well. So we'll continue to see how that grows as well. Josh Giddey did do some contact today for the first time since coming to the Chicago Bulls. So it's good to see Josh Giddey, who was limited in the first practice, getting some contact in today. Seems like Lonzo Ball responded well to 5-on-5s because he was doing more contact 5-on-5s today. And they wanted to see how he responds. Everything that we've heard from Lonzo is continually seeing how he continues to grow and develop and responds to things. So we'll see what happens on that one. I'm blurry? Why? So y'all just now telling me I'm blurry? I've been doing this episode for almost 10 minutes. Hold on. Give me 1 second. It really be your own people. Y'all really had me in here and just had me looking blurry. Ain't nobody said nothing. It took Lord Zobe to come in here and tell Haize that he was blurry. I see none of y'all is real. None of y'all real. This is why I'm not taking none of y'all with me when I finally make it. No, I'm just playing. I'm taking y'all all with me. I'm putting everybody on payroll. But anyway, with that said, to get back to what I was talking about, so it seems like Lonzo Ball responded well enough yesterday to 5-on-5s, so where they had him doing contact 5-on-5s again. So that's a really good sign for him to continue to develop and get to being cleared to get on the basketball court at the start of the season. So that's really good to see from Lonzo Ball. You love to hear that when it comes down to it. No, listen, Eric B., you're not going to take Patrick Williams out the starting five because at that point you have no size on the bench. So no, you're not going to start. And Jalen Smith is a center. He's not a power forward. He can play some power forward. Let me be clear. He can do a lot of that. but you're not going to see Jalen Smith and Nikola Vucevic in your starting lineup because then you have no size coming off your bench. So unless you want to see Patrick Williams play a lot of backup 5 minutes, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So you guys got to think about that. You got to think about that when it comes down to it. Hey, Ed Herring, I tried to put you on payroll yet last season. You remember when I asked you to start doing content for Chi-Town Sports Central? You could have been on payroll. You should have been the first person to come out of the chat in the payroll. You could have already been cashing checks, but you didn't record the content for me, brother. I gave you the opportunity. I gave you the keys. You ain't picked up on them yet. You got the keys, bro. Now, let's all jokes aside, Ed Herring and the way that he views basketball and the way that he communicates basketball and his voice too. I got to say Ed Herring and his voice. Like, he would be perfect to do the 30 on 30 type content, and I'm really trying to get him to do it. Y'all hype up Ed Herring in the chat right now. Tell Ed to get off the bench, get in the game, start doing these 30 for 30 type content we're trying to bring to the Chi-Town Sports Central Network, and tell him to get in there. Get in the game, bro. You too talented to be on the bench. But what was I saying? So Lonzo Ball responded well, per reports, to the 5-on-5, so much so that they had him out there on 5-on-5s again today. That's good. You want to see Lonzo steady progressing and taking a step every single day and to get back to doing what he loves. And listen, I don't have a whole lot of hope for Lonzo Ball and how much impact he can make in his first season back, but I do hope that he can come back and get to playing some for this team. And we can see how we can build off that or just for his career going forward. So that's the injury updates on Josh Giddey, on Lonzo Ball. So Giddey did contact for the first time today. Lonzo Ball did more contact, and that's really good to hear, right? Because you don't want to keep that point guard curse going for the Chicago Bulls. Now, outside of that, we also got some updates on, Ayo Dosunmu talked about the Bulls minicamp, and one thing that we've heard today from Ayo is that Ayo and Kobe actually took the lead in setting up the mini camp that the Bulls did in Miami. So, it was initially reported that the Bulls did a mini camp. We didn't really heard much about it, but apparently Ayo Dosunmu and Kobe Wright really led that. And Ayo talked about that they understood how important it was to start building chemistry heading into the season, and that they wanted, and it was important to do that. And in a season where we're talking about who's going to step up as that next leader, it's going to be a good thing to see that these guys are already stepping into these leadership roles and starting to really, get these guys all on the same page. You have a very young team here, not as young as some of the other younger teams, but it's a lot younger than what it has been. And so because of that, to see these guys really start picking up and going in the right direction for things, it's good to see Ayo and Kobe were the ones that led that. Now, we heard that the veterans were full participants, that Zach LaVine, Nikola Vucevic, they picked up and footed the bill for a lot of rookies. Zach LaVine actually put a lot of money into getting a hotel court NBA ready for them to host their mini camps on. And it really seems like these guys, like I said in today's earlier videos, is that off the court is not a concern for this Bulls team. The off the court stuff isn't a concern for this Bulls team. This team is locked in together and they're enjoying each other off the court. They just got to build that on the court chemistry. They got to figure some things out. And that's why it's really good that Josh Giddey was out there for the contact portion of practice today, because him and Kobe White are going to have to work out those type of things. And we'll see what happens with that. And hopefully they're able to kind of keep building and developing that on-court chemistry, because that backcourt, like I've said before, if you can get to a place where Kobe White and Josh Giddey, you feel confident in those guys being your backcourt of the future. And I'll go so far as to say this. If you can get to a place where Kobe, Ayo, and Josh Giddey, that 3-man rotation in your backcourt, because all three of those players can, if they can be, specifically if Giddey and Kobe can get over who's going to be ball dominant, and when the other one has the ball, how the other one's going to fare off ball, if they can build a camaraderie between those three players, you may have a 3-man backcourt rotation for the next 3 or 4 years. Now, yes, you got to extend Josh Giddey at the end of the season. You then have to extend Kobe and Ayo at the end of next season, and it could get pricey for you. But depending on how they look and together, I think that's going to be a good thing as well. I'm going to put this idiot, because listen, the mods ain't doing their job. I'm only putting you in timeout because I'm telling you right now, don't spam my chat for shit. I'm going to get to it. I get to everybody's comments. Don't spam my chat, because I will. spam you in the face. Take that for how you will. Now, with that said, what did you just type that? Hopefully my paywall has handicap benefits. That's crazy. That's crazy. Um, that's crazy. All right, but so hopefully that starts happening and developing, and you're really starting to see that those three guys. We already know Kobe and Io have chemistry, right? And Io has the type of game that you can see him fitting in with Josh Giddey as well, because Io doesn't necessarily have to have the ball in his hands to be effective. He does cut to the rim, things like that. So if that Kobe piece of that can start working out, and you can get those three guys really having a nice solid rotation in your backcourt, that's a really nice kind of thing to build into. As well. And so, we hope that continues to go on. Again, I'm putting all idiots in timeout today. All idiots in timeout today. It's not my fault. Your mama didn't raise y'all right. And I ain't got time to raise grown ass men in here. So with that said, that's the first thing. Now, one thing that Ayo Dosunmu did say as well today that I thought was really funny, and it adds to the hype. Does it mean a lot for the basketball court? No, not necessarily. I mean, listen, Modest Buzelis, part of his role coming into this is really going to be the athleticism that he brings, those type of plays, right? But he said this. Io said that he can make a case for Modest Buzelis being the most athletic player on the team. When asked if he puts Modest Buzelis over Zach LaVine and Julian Phillips, he said this. I ain't gonna count out Zach because Zach won 2 dunk contests. Julian is right there, but you'll see. Listen. I tell you what, and this is the expectations for a rookie, right? I'm somebody who I have realistic expectations for my rookies, right? Is that Modest Buzelis in this first year, if he can do a couple of things, right? Play with energy, get out and run in transition, get those blocks, get some rebounds. That's really nice platform to build off of. He already has the mindset and all those type of things. And so, to hear somebody like Ayo Dosunmu, who's now going into his 4th year, being in practices with Zach LaVine, to say that Modest Buzelis may be more athletic than Zach LaVine. Listen, this kid has so much. So that you're absolutely right, Eco Bean. Those are big words to say. To say that somebody could we? You know what? We haven't talked about this. We have not talked about this. Could Modest Buzelis go into the dunk contest this year? Could Modest Buzelis go into the dunk contest this year? I don't think he's going to have enough minutes or a big enough role to get Rookie of the Year. I see you and Eric B mentioning that. But I think the question is like, could Modest Buzelis get into the dunk contest this year? And think about it. Modest Buzelis is the type of guy as well who would like that pride. Like Modest Buzelis would literally put on a show. I feel confident he would try, right, to put on a show with that athleticism. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. But overall, good vibes again from another day of training camp from everybody. You like to hear that these guys are, like I said, enjoying each other. I'm not even mad that the Bulls went ahead and cut some dead weight in Marcus Domask. I wish him the best. But yeah, at the end of the day, it seems like the Bulls are starting to get to a place where they saw enough from Domask and they realized that he's just not going to make this team. So, that's listen. There's no point in anybody being around that's not going to fit your team. So It's Seaway's World is in the building. First of all, shout out to It's Seaway for delivering some great TikTok content for Chicago Sky Central. When I talk about putting people on payroll, Seaway may be on Chicago Sky payroll, handling the Chicago Sky Central TikTok. We'll talk about that a little bit in a second. Dilbert says, "Yo, that shirt is fly." I had the shirt. You know what? It's funny enough, and this is when you start knowing that you have too much merch. I bought this shirt almost 2 years ago. They just re-released this shirt on Fanatics. Literally, they just started selling this shirt again on Fanatics. When you have stuff to where they start rolling back around the stuff that you have, and so I could act like this is a new shirt, it's crazy, right? What's going on, Jacob Pone? Glad to have you in the building. Bro, who leads the Bulls in spot up threes this year? Ooh, that's a great question. Spot up, probably. I think that's going to be a real big part of Zach LaVine's a game this year and what he can bring, especially pairing with Josh Giddey. So I think the fair prediction there is to say that Zach LaVine, probably Zach LaVine. Samuel says, "Do you think they will make room so D Rose can respectively retire?" But you may be on to something. You might have just cooked. You may be on to something there. Who do you think gets minutes, Batum or Duarte? Batum. I'd put Batum over Duarte personally. Madas the menace. That's crazy. Jalen Smith is going to have a good year. I could see him being a starter by the end of the season. Oh yeah, I could definitely see that happen. Could definitely see that happen. I've been wanting Jalen Smith since before his. You've been wanting him. I mean, if you want to date the man, Dilbert, you got to like you can go ahead and go date the man, bro. Like I don't know what to tell you, bro. Like I'm not here to make a love connection, bro. You want to date him, you better slide in his DMs. I really hope he does start. Think he's going to shock the world. He very well could. He very well. And the one of the things that, and I'll get back into the comments here in a section, but one of the things that I think we need to realize that what the Bulls have done here has kind of in a way been smart, right? The Bulls they've given up a lot of draft picks, right? Over the last few years, they've given up a lot of draft picks. So what they've low-key done, because they don't have draft picks, and well, they haven't had draft picks. They got a lot of draft picks going forward, but they've brought in some young guys that have all shown something at the NBA level, right? When you look at Josh Giddey, we already know what he's brought and shown at the NBA level, right? Jalen Smith, another guy who's still very young and hasn't played a whole lot of minutes, but at least he's shown something so far, right? He's done that. You also got to look at like bringing in THT and Kenny Lofton Jr. These guys have all shown a little something at the NBA level. And in a lot of ways, the Bulls have basically brought in what would have been tantamount to a couple of second-round picks and a couple of first-round picks, which they haven't had over the last couple of years. That's basically what they've done. Josh Giddey, a former first-round pick. Jalen Smith, a former top 10 pick. You got Kenny Lofton Jr., who I think was undrafted, but still. You got THT as well, somebody who's averaged 10 points per game. The Bulls have low-key tried to re-up this team with talent, young talent, that instead of having, the number of draft picks that they've given up to the Spurs and to the Orlando Magic over the last few years, they've kind of re-up with those guys. It's kind of smart when you think about it that way, right? Winton says training camp can possibly change some things. It could. It definitely could. I don't think it's going to change a lot, but it definitely could. I already read that one. No, Jalen Smith is OP on 2K. His rebounding is crazy. He can shoot the three. First, why do y'all bring 2K stuff in the actual basketball conversation? That's crazy. Any P. Will news? No, there's been nothing that I've read on P. Will coming out, which is probably good. I mean, because they said that he's doing 5-on-5. He what I talked about in today's daily episode, how the setback that he had wasn't because of his foot that he had surgery on. It was actually a overcompensation injury where he was overcompensating for his foot, and it just caused a little pain somewhere else. But then Patrick Williams said he's been doing 5-on-5 for months. Remember that it was reported that he had been sitting out of 5-on-5 for weeks. So, and Winton said it in the comment section. That's why you can't believe every report that you hear, because some of these reporters really just be talking shit. Really just be talking shit. Can I special guest on LOB? I mean, you gotta send in your resume, bro. Like LOB is like, I can only bring in other people who've done media before. I bring you on here more than I would on like LOB right away, unless you've done podcasting before. And that's, I don't want to, I'm not trying to shoot a shot at you or take a shot at you or anything like that. Like LOB is different because it's a network show that I don't control. I try to make sure that I bring in guests there that if the network ever is like, hey, why'd you bring this guy on? I'm like, well, he's done this show before, right? So that's just something that I have to do to cover my own ass over on Locked On. So Josh Giddey should start. I mean, yeah, Josh Giddey's going to be the starter. Please, no more point guard injuries. I feel you on that, Ed. Completely feel you on that. Bulls posted a Zoda Modest lob clip. Just happy to see him active on the court. Of course, Modest is that dog. Listen, Modest got that dog in him. Modest got that dog in him. That's 100% sure. Lonzo to Buzelis out. Yeah, I didn't even see that. The Bulls posted that. Did they post it on their Twitter? I see an Io to Levine play, but I don't see a Zoda. Where do they post that, bro? Let me know, because I love to show that. Tegan says, ready for new season, new era of Bulls basketball. Hey, let's get it. Let's get it. It's crazy how much y'all complain about small ball, yet Smith and Vooch to start with no backup five if both of them get in foul trouble. Bro, like we're talking about Torrey Craig and Patrick Williams as the backup five at that point. That'd be crazy. Team defense is going to be important that's a fact. Team defense is going to be really important for this team. Communication on the defensive side of the ball, which I don't know in that starting lineup who communicates on defense. Like, and maybe I could be wrong on that, but like Josh Giddey isn't the type of defender. Like, he's talked about wanting to be more active defensively. I don't know if he's at the place with his defensive IQ where he can call out what the other team's doing. Kobe White, I've learned to never count out Kobe White, so maybe he turns into that guy. Zach definitely doesn't have the basketball IQ defensively to be the guy to call out things. Maybe maybe that's a role for Patrick Williams to find his voice in as a smart defender. Maybe that, but like I can see Io doing it coming off the bench, right? I'm not worried about when Io's in the game. I think Io is going to be that communicator on that defensive side of the ball. But outside of that, in that starting lineup, I don't know who that communicator is. And maybe I could be wrong on that. But you guys can let me know who you think that communicator can be on that defensive side of the ball. So I just hope that Modest is utilized the best way this upcoming season. I mean, and he's going to have to earn it, right? Like Billy Donovan has said, every chance that he gets, young players aren't going to get minutes just to get minutes. But Modest has the type of mindset. He has the type of mentality. He has all those things where he's going to show everything he can to deserve minutes. Now, what that role is going to be, that'll be something that we'll see how that develops. Who makes the roster? Batum, EJ, KLJ, or THT? Well, I think EJ Liddell and Kenny Lofton Jr., I'm pegging them more so for the G League. I think that they're going to be on the G League team. I think the final roster spot comes down to THT, who can't be converted to a two-way deal because he's been in the NBA too long. And I think Ernalot Batum are the two guys there. Now, I hope it's Batum. I think Batum has an edge. Keep in mind, when your president of basketball operations goes overseas to scout you specifically and then signs you and brings you to your team, you have a little bit of a leg up there. But I think that, with how much he didn't really show a lot last season, if THC can come in and show anything more, there may be some opportunity there, right? But I think Ernalop has the skill set that we need. We're going to be a 3-point deficits team. Ernalop has the 3 ball. So I think those type of things give him a little bit of edge. And I say this too, Ernalop's a better defender than THT. So Lil Famo says, let's say everything plans out and by the trade deadline, we're top 6 to 7 in the East. Do you think we trade off Zach and Vooch or AK will keep that's a great, if we're top 6, that means avoiding the play-in. I don't think that they trade either one. Maybe still Vooch. It depends on if Vooch is the starter or not. If Jalen Smith has shown enough to be a star, if they feel confident in starting Jalen Smith by then, I can absolutely see them still trading Vooch, even if the Bulls are top 6. If the Bulls are top 6, I don't think they move Levine. I think they may wait to the offseason to move Levine in that case, personally. So we'll see there. Dilbert says, yes, sir. We got the talent, bro. I can't wait for the season. I can't wait either, bro. Really can't wait. IG and Twitter. I don't see it on their Twitter. I don't see it on the Chicago Bulls Twitter. Did they take it down? Hold on. Let me see. Let's see something else. I do see Modest Buzelis working with Peter Patton, though. I see that after practice. Listen, that's what I want to see. Modest Buzelis getting up shots with Peter Patton after practice. I don't even care about the lob anymore. Now I do see the lob. Hey, yo, I'm about to show y'all this. Don't copyright strike me, Chicago Bulls. But yo, hey, this just got me excited. Watch this. Hey, we can see that off the bench. Come on, man. That's what we need to see. That's what we need to see. That's what we need to see. Hey, yo. All right. That's what I like to see out there. Because listen, Modest can do that with Lonzo, with Giddey, with Io, right? Especially in transition. Come on now. That could be crazy. That could really be crazy, man. Hey, it says the Bulls have waived more. Yeah, we already talked about that, bro. We talked about that to open this show. I know you may be coming in late. I didn't mean that as like you're stupid or anything, but yeah, we talked about that at the start of the show. So could you imagine Modest putting on the weight P. Will did? I mean, listen. And the thing with that you always got to think about with weight, like everybody can carry weight differently, and Modest Buzelis is a lot more athletic than P. Will as far as like jumping out the gym, things like that. So I don't know if Modest Buzelis needs to put on the amount of weight that P. Will did, but I tell you what, man, listen, it's gonna be fun. Scary hours are loading, is what I'm telling y'all. Just keep that in mind. Scary hours are loading for the Chicago Bulls, and like I said before, I've said this many times. Is that I don't know, and I'm not going to act like I know. I don't know how many games this Bulls team is going to win. But I do think we're going to see a lot more exciting brand of offense from this Bulls team this year. I think we're going to see a very exciting brand of offense actually from the Chicago Bulls this year. And so because of that, I have a lot of faith in what the Bulls are going to be able to show now. Like I said, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be one of those things where you can start seeing the bones of how this offense can start playing a modern style. And I think that's good enough for the Bulls team. If they can start playing a modern style, that goes a long way, right? Because then you can start fitting in pieces that fits Dalen, that fits Julian, that fits Modest Buzelis, right? And then as you get other guys, that definitely helps you out as well going down. This offensively, this team can be a fun team to watch offensively. Defensively, it can be barbecue chicken. But we'll see what happens with that. We'll see what happens as that continues to go on, man. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights in the building says, hey, everyone, happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday to you, too, as well. Daniel Berry, glad to have you in the building. Carlos says, yes, sir, that was nice. Hey, man, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. Shout out to Peace to All for the super chat. We appreciate you, brother, man. We really appreciate you there, bro. Hey, Zoe actually penetrated the defense. Let me find out his new knees doing this. Hey, listen, the man has a brand new knee. He has a brand new knee. But Tim looked like a shooter the few games I saw him play. Defense needs to respect his shot. I think he's not afraid to shoot. Exactly. And the thing that with Ernolop as well is that keep in mind, he can put the ball on the floor. He can dribble some. I'm not saying you want to put him in isolation or not, but as a role player. And that's all we're talking about with Ernolop right now, right? It's him being a role player going forward. Let's see he can be a role player first, and then maybe he can develop into more after that. But as a role player, I like a lot of what he can bring to this team, for sure. To Peace to all here. But Tim's jumper looks smooth as butter in the few games he played. Facts. He has a very fluid jumper. That Batum news that he had 2 surgeries and had to lay on his stomach was interesting. He had to battle through some stuff. Exactly. And that's why I don't want to count him out. I don't want to count him out. Give me 1 second, y'all. All right. There you go. But yeah, so overall, really, like I with Modest Buzelis, it comes down to there's always going to be potential there, right? And the potential doesn't mean that it's always going to work. I want to be clear there. It doesn't mean that it's always going to work, but let's hope that it does. And if it does work out for the Bulls, like you've gotten that's one thing that really good front offices do. Bringing over a guy from overseas, right, to bring him over on a minimum deal, and he ends up working out to be a role player for you. That shows some really good moxie there from this team that we haven't seen a whole lot from, right? Edwin says, this kid Modest is going to steal the show, bro. Oh, listen, I'm going to tell you guys right now, and people may think that I'm buying too much into the hype, and this isn't to knock Kobe, this isn't to knock Isle, this isn't to knock Josh Giddey, but if I'm betting on any player right now on the Bulls turning in to a close to franchise level player, right now it's Modest Buzelis. He not only has the mentality, he has the drive, he has the determination, he has the raw skill set, he can be a modern point forward. If that 3-point shot works out for Modest Buzelis, if he can develop that 3-point shot, which is why I said I was really happy to see him out there working with Peter Patton after practice on that jump shot. If Modest Buzelis develops in the first 3 years of his NBA career to become an average to above average 3-point shooter with his ability to keep in mind, Modest Buzelis' dribble is already better than what Patrick Williams was at least last year. We'll see if he worked with dribble too much this last offseason, but his dribble, his ability to create, his ability to finish around the rim, I tell you what, if Modest Buzelis rounds out the parts that are missing in his game, he has the it factor, and we'll see. Been a long season, a long off season. Love this time of year. Hey, man, if you can't tell, I am super excited right now. Super excited. But Tim is in a small spot because in the small. What? Wade, retype that, bro. Minutes he will play, he has to hit shots. Oh, okay, there you go. In the small minutes that he'll play, he has to hit shots. I agree with that, right? So like that margin of error is very small for Unalak Batum, right? Because he has to come in a spot where he has to do everything that the Bulls need him to do because that leash is going to be really small. Now, maybe it's a little bit wider for him because we don't really have a lot of three-point shooters off that bench. So maybe he gets a little bit more of a longer leash because of that. But we'll see. We'll see. Do you think Bulls did Clutch a favor in signing THT in exchange to help them find it? I don't think it's. I think maybe they did a favor for agent, like, because we got two Clutch Sports players on our team, so I think maybe that. And keep in mind, Clutch Sports is it's basically the biggest sports agency right now. So even if they did, I don't know if it has anything to do with Zach, but they still may have done Clutch a favor to gain some kind of favor with Clutch Sports. So we'll see. Batum is in the touch spot to fill because the small amount of minutes he will play on the Bulls, he has to hit his shots around 37%. I don't think it has to be 37% depending on the volume. I think if he can be 35% or more, I think that depending on what they get him, that can probably get him in there, but we'll see. We'll see. Monda's caught a couple of bodies this summer. Yeah, he's going to catch a lot more. Talk to y'all significant others is about to get ugly for him. That's crazy. Who worked with Dribble Too Much? Modest or P. Will? P. Will did. P. Will worked with Dribble Too Much. I think that the Bulls are going to shoot better from three this year because they were struggling last year, and now they're probably going to redeem themselves. I mean, you got to have the shooters to do it, and you don't, right? It's easy to just say, hey, you did bad, do better next year, but you got to have the skills to be able to do that, and the Bulls don't necessarily have that, but we'll see. We'll see. Lonzo needed a new knee. Von Carter needs new confidence. That's funny. But hey, listen, something that me and Pat, the designer, were talking on the phone earlier is that something to look out for is that if this surgery works for Lonzo Ball, let's say he does make a return, and it probably won't have this in year one, but look for year two, and as his career goes on, there are going to be a lot of NBA players to be like, hey, let me get one of them new knees, man. Y'all got some of them African knees stored up? Like, do you have just a room full of cadaver knees that I can get? Let me get that new knee. Could you imagine? Like, all jokes aside, imagine if Grant Hill would have been able to get the surgery that Lonzo Ball had. Hell, imagine if Anthony Hardaway would have been able to get the surgery that he had, right? That changes a lot for you. So we'll see how that develops. How do you feel about the Illinois connection we got going on this year? What Illinois connection? You talking about Adama Sanogo? No, he didn't. He went to Connecticut. Domask is up out of there. So, like, it's up out of there. I know this may be thinking ahead, but seeing Patrick Williams and seeing how much bigger he is, no Diddy, he better give Zion Williams a run for his money in his first game. I mean, we'll see. Zach or Kobe have to be moved so that they can fully see Modest flourish. No, they don't. Not yet, at least. Like, you don't have to answer that question for a while. And then, again, that also determines on where do they see Modest long term? Because if they see him at the 4 long term, you don't have to move any of your wing players, right? That creates more of a problem for Patrick Williams and Julian Phillips more than it does for Kobe White and Zach LaVine, I would say. In that case, if they see him long-term as a 4. So Lonzo can shoot, Dose can shoot, LaVine can pop, White is a gunner. Craig was able to shoot at one point. Maybe he gets a shot back, but Tim can shoot. I agree. Listen, Lonzo, you can't factor Lonzo into anything. We don't know who this Lonzo Ball is. We just don't know. I'm sorry. It's not that easy. And a jump shot, it still takes your knee. It'll be different if we had him on the contract for like another 2 years, but you can't say that. You talking about Io as far as Dose? Like, all right, cool. Io was on the team last year. LaVine was on the team last year and 2 years ago when the Bulls still were terrible shooters. Kobe White's been on the team, right? These are guys who have been on the team, and we still have been bad three-point shooting wise. So how do you look at players that have already been here and say, hey, yeah, these players that have already been here, we should be better three-point shooting wise? No. And Batum cannot shoot the 3 yet. That's one of the biggest holes in his game is he can't shoot the 3. So I just don't trust until I see it that this team is going to be a better three-point shooting team. I just can't see it. Just saying what's going on, Matty Legend? New knee is better than a partially repaired knee. Well, I mean, the new knee is a partially repaired knee. So, I mean, just different routes to get there. I like how the young Bulls played when DeRozan was out last year. I like the style that they played for sure. Like, and that is theoretically going to be more the type of style that we're seeing from this team. I think it could be even faster depending on how some things change. But yeah, I agree with you. Definitely agree with you there. Kobe got a lot of no, he doesn't. Kobe and Ben Gordon are two very different players. Kobe White is a better mid-range player. He's a better creator at the rim than Ben Gordon ever was. And Ben Gordon is a way better catch-and-shoot player than Kobe White has ever been. Kobe White is actually a terrible catch-and-shoot player. He only shoots 32% on catch-and-shoots. That's not good. That's bad. That's very bad. Now, hopefully he can grow and develop that part of his game, but I hate it when people try to compare Kobe and Ben Gordon. Their games are nothing alike. Nothing alike at all. Not even remotely. When you look at where they get their shots, how they get their shots, their game is nothing alike. Nothing. Not even close to being similar. Salute Haize in the chat. I have no expectations for this team. Hopefully the young players show potential and we can build around them. Hopefully. Let's hope so, bro. Let's hope so. By the way, where's Ben? You said you were going to get my invite to come on your show, and I still have yet to get it. Now, I know I missed the DMs on TikTok from you, but so since I missed DMs, I don't get another opportunity. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Nah, I'm going to bring you on show. I actually want to have you on Locked on Bulls sometime this year as well, brother. I don't know. Me personally, my favorite player on the Bulls is Kobe. Given the chance, he will cook as long as he stays consistent this season. I can see him dropping 23 to 25 points per game. Listen, if he can be consistent for the whole season, you're absolutely right. And I have those 3-4 games where he can't hit anything. Definitely agree with you there. How many wins do you think the Bulls will get this season? I've said it many times. I think between 30 and 34, 35-ish wins is what I expect from this team. Rising Stars GM Mata's going to seek out people to dunk on. That's definitely could be a possibility there. Hot take. If we had Gordon in 2010-11 season, he probably could have took some pressure off Derrick Rose and won that series against Miami. There's definitely a chance of that. We'll see. Let Kobe White close the games this year fully since D Rose is gone. Yeah, we'll see. I got you, bro. Waiting on the season to start. You know I will pull up. I appreciate that, brother. Then when also got to worry about Zoe trusting his knee and not being scared or hesitant at times. Remember those first few months D Rose came back. Great, almost the whole first year D Rose came back. Yo, Haize, you planning on attending any games live this year? You know, there's always a plan. Now the plan that may not always work, but there's always a plan. Do you think we'll run more off screens and catch and shoot since the creator on offense is actually the point guard and Zach is at the 3 spot instead of DeMar? Yes. I think we'll run a lot more of that, CP, a lot more of that. And hopefully that ends up working out for the Bulls. But all right, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I had planned on only getting on and doing like 20 minutes of a live stream, but you guys showed out. You guys know when you guys show out, man, we have fun. 300 and something of y'all here in this live. I appreciate every single one of y'all, man. And we're going to keep it going. Think about it this week. This time next week, we'll be having a game. We'll have games. We'll be back doing pregame shows, halftime hangouts, postgame shows, all live on the channels, man. It's going to be fun. It's definitely going to be fun this year, man. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of I almost said Locked on Bulls, Chicago Bulls Central. Make sure you guys are following the show at Bulls Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullscentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you guys want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. And by the way, and this is just a friendly shot, not an actual shot. I want to be clear here, a friendly shot because those are my guys over there. But CHGO Bulls added Will Perdue and added Tony Gill just to still be second to Chicago Bulls Central. Think about that when you got down to it. They got a 3-time NBA champion on their podcast daily to still be second to Chicago Bulls Central. Let that sit in. You guys are the best. You make this podcast the best. I love you guys. Game day's coming back. We back in go mode. Season mode's coming right around the corner. I love you guys. Go Bulls. See red, y'all. Peace. We still the best. We the best. Let them know. You can still come in second to Chicago Bulls Central. Everybody knows who got the best Bulls content.
Has been a presentation of the Break Media.
See red.